Shalom, everybody. I think we're going to get started. I just got an email or two emails from some of our students. So some of them are not going to be able to make it today. One of them has a graduation rehearsal today, which is a big deal. And that's okay. I wanted to be able to record today so that if anyone couldn't come, they would be able to see this later. And I'm just going to talk my heart out. But for those of you that are here, I want you to know that you can ask questions. This is not just me needing to be a talking head. Hi, Sophia. Hello. You're here. That's awesome. Natalie, nice to see you. I know there's a couple others that are going to be here a couple minutes late. I have a friend that is actually making a podcast today and getting over just now, and she wants to get in here. So we'll have some fun today. I want you to ask questions. If you think of something, probably chat is the easiest thing for me. But if you're on your phone and you can't chat very well and you just want to raise your hand and ask it, that is fine. I'm good with that. So this is the last day of our clubs for high school for homeschooling Torah this year. We've been doing clubs every week between speech and writing and literature, and it's been awesome. And the speech students specifically, we're working on, towards the end of the year, we're working on things like job interviews and how to use speech skills in everyday life. And we wanted to talk about how to start your own website or your own YouTube channel or some ministry like that, or even a business, because that's the ultimate in speech skills, right? And really, the whole purpose of high school is to prepare for life. And some people just want to be entrepreneurs. I know I have that itch myself, so I get it. Other people just need a website for maybe a business. Maybe they want to be an electrician and they want to have their own website someday. So I want to kind of try to be very general, and I'm going to give some good business advice today, but I also want to talk about, make sure that I cover questions you might have. So be sure to ask. Don't hesitate at all, just because I'm up here yakking. So let's real quick talk about who I am and what I do besides homeschooling Torah, because I do have a few things on my plate. I love making websites. I've been making websites for 23 years. Am I right? Whoops, there's my phone. Hold on. Okay, rule number one, always put your phone on do not disturb. Anyway, so I've been making websites since 1999. I was a piano teacher and I wanted to make a website for my students. And this was like cutting edge back then, but it sounded so fun. So I made a website. And then I also thought, you know what? I wish I could put a place where I tell about me and things that I like and stuff like that. So I had one page or maybe several pages that were for my piano students. And then I had other pages like favorite books. And I think I called that the living room. And then I had a page on like recipes that I liked. And that was the kitchen. And I made like all these rooms of a house. And that was my website. And I called it Anne's Homey Place because it was like a home, which is really not a good word to make a website from because it's really hard to spell. Yeah. So anyway, that was my first website. And then I went on from there. I had Anne's School Place and Anne's Health Place. And I had a lot of fun with it in the first 10 years or so. It wasn't for business. We started making Bible curriculum. I'm not even sure if I can remember the date. I know our first history curriculum came out in 2010. And there was a big deal online where one of the main homeschooling publishing companies was not sticking to the Bible. It drove me crazy, drove my husband crazy. And we're like, we want to get back to the foundation of the Bible. So we started Foundations Press. Anyway, we kept starting businesses. And I'm sure if you haven't heard the story of homeschooling Torah, it was somewhat of an accident, somewhat of all of the years of making websites and trying different jobs prepared us for what the Father had for us, which I'm sure is what he does in your life too. Every event, everything that he brings, every circumstance, every problem that you've had to work through, everything that you're good at, your talents, those are being used to make you into exactly who he wants you to be. And if you will grab a hold of that today, that will help you succeed in whatever you do, if you will do what he made you to do. And we're going to help you figure some of that out. So anyway, sometime I could probably share a link to that. I didn't even think about getting that before I got on here, but it's on my website, which I am going to show you in a little bit. So maybe I could look it up when I get to there. Remind me if I forget. But anyway, as of today, I have 30 websites that I manage domains for. We sort of used to own our own website design and hosting company, but we decided that is just not what we are. At least my husband and I, it's not our passion. So he has gone off more into graphic design. I've definitely gone into curriculum writing because that's my love. And, but having said that, we do regularly work on our websites. We constantly are working on websites. So I do know a lot about hosting websites and making websites. We do our websites on WordPress, which I'll show you that in a little bit. And there are many other good platforms. So if I can help you, don't ever hesitate to reach out. And we're going to talk about how you can do that as well as we go through this. So what are some myths? Let's talk about starting your own business or starting your own ministry. Let's talk about some myths that tend to go around the Torah movement. At least I think they're myths. So you may disagree with me. You're welcome to do so. But first of all, do all people who obey the Torah in 2022, who live in whether the United States or wherever, it doesn't really matter, are they all entitled to prosperity? Just because you start a business, will you be prosperous? Because after all, you keep the Torah, and Deuteronomy 28 and Leviticus 26 say that if you obey him, he will prosper you. Well, here's the catch. We're still, as a people of the 12 tribes of Israel and those grafted in, we're still dispersed all over the world because of the curse of sin. People denied obeying and walking according to the Torah. And even if we repent, I'm in Michigan. I have not been brought back to the land. I do believe there are some promises that he will give us wisdom and understanding. And he promises definitely at the time that he brings us back to his kingdom to bring us higher and higher, and that the wealth of the nations will flow into his people. But I don't know that that means we're going to be prosperous right now today. So I just think we should clear up that myth. Because you take a 1-hour class here from Homeschooling Torah does not mean you're going to be rich. So I wish. It's not going to be, it's just not the way it works. Having said that, what I do think at Homeschooling Torah, we have a passion for preparing children and teenagers to grow up to know how to do things excellently with, I don't know, is that even a word? To do things with excellence, so that when the king returns to his kingdom, he can look out and say, well done, good and faithful servant. You were faithful with this website. I would like to make you in charge of this massive production over here. And that gives me goosebumps. That's my passion. If that's what we can help you do, I'm all for it. But I'm not going to promise to make you rich. Sorry. Also, though, on the flip side of that, does the Torah say that everyone must own their own business? Does everyone have to be their own farmer, to be their own entrepreneur? And I know that conversation goes on a lot. And as you're growing through high school, and maybe some of you as adults think about this too, do you have to own your own business in order to be Torah observant? And that's a complicated question. I'm not going to get too far into it, but I would like to point out that working for other people can give you skills. You may not be Joseph at the end of your life right now, where you get to be head over this massive country. You may first have to go through some hard things and learn things, as my mother used to say, through the school of hard knocks. So if you are thinking, I would like to have my own business someday, don't be shy also about working for other people. And goodness, the people that own the business can't do it all. They only have 24 hours in a day, and sometimes they need to sleep, and they definitely need Sabbath. So they need young, energetic, creative, go-getting people to come and work for them and work alongside them. I know that is a need we have. And goodness, it's one of the reasons I'm so thankful I have 7 children, because they can all work together with us. But they have their own dreams and goals and desires too. So don't be afraid to come in and work for other people, to learn from them, to be an apprentice underneath other people. And if your whole life you work for other people, that's okay, because again, you're being a good and faithful servant. So those are 2 myths. The third myth I want to talk about is that starting your own website, your own ministry, your own business is easy. So I'm here to tell you that yes, in principle, it's easy. And I might have even used the word easy in our handout, which I need to give you a link to that handout again. But it is easy to understand how to do it, easy to know what to do sometimes, because sometimes it's not easy. But what is not easy is managing and controlling yourself And when you own your own business, that makes you the boss, and you have to tell yourself what to do. And that is where I think the most difficulty comes in. So I don't want you, even though I'm going to show you a lot of things today, I don't want you to come away with the idea that this is easy, because it's not. It's a lot of hard work. When you work for yourself, you probably will work from the minute you get out of bed at night until the minute you get out of bed in the morning to the minute you go to bed at night. And even in bed, you often think about what you're going to do the next day. It's actually very difficult to take Sabbath, because you have to say, okay, brain, stop thinking about it. That's one of the reasons why you just turn off your phones and don't go on social media, because you're going to see things that make you think about your business. So really what you have ahead of you is a challenge, and very difficult, and I love it. So I wouldn't do anything else. And I hope that if anything, you can catch some of my excitement for business and for starting my own business. I love working for myself and my husband. We work together, but he gives me a ton of freedom. And so I really get to do a lot of it. And I love it. So even though I've tried to tell you all the downsides, I hope that you will love it as much as I do. So those are the myths. And let's talk about some basic fundamental concepts for starting your own business. Before I do that, let me one more time share the free handout. And of course, I'll share it again. We're going to have it underneath the YouTube later when we put that out on YouTube. So no worries if you don't get it or don't want to look at it right now. That's fine. So to start your own, I don't know what to say today. Maybe I should have taken a second. If you're able to chat, and on whatever device you're watching, I would love to know who you are, what some of your ideas are, why you're here today. What are you thinking? I would love that. I would give us things to talk about too. So are you starting a business? Are you wanting a YouTube channel? Do you want to start a blog? Do you want to start a Etsy company? Do you want to, sell t-shirts? What is it that you're doing? I would love to know that. So if you're able to get in the chat, that'd be great. So whatever it is that you feel the Father is calling you to, there are two concepts. If you got these down, then you're going to be good. Number one, you have to find something to talk about. I'm going to say talk about because I started with a blog and I wanted to talk about things. And second, you have to find someone to talk to. I know that's really basic, but if you are just talking to yourself and you have no one visiting your website, no one coming to see what you've spent, 50 hours creating and trying to sell. Maybe you make tzitzit and you want to sell them and you love them and you're passionate about them, but you have no one to sell them to or tell them about, you're not going to succeed. Having said that, if you have all kinds of traffic, but nothing to give them or share to them, well, that doesn't usually actually happen. But if it did, it wouldn't be anything. So I like to use stories and pictures to help me understand things. So today we're going to talk about you are a horse rancher and we're going to make a horse ranch. Okay. If you want to say that you're a shepherd, that's cool because that's more of a biblical illustration. I honestly think of myself as a shepherd of moms and kids and the families that we come and, teach at Homeschooling Torah. I get to shepherd them and I get to use all my spiritual gifts to lead them and guide them. But let's just, for the sake of simplicity, use a horse ranch today. Okay. So in order to have a horse ranch, you have to first have horses, right? And you have to have a place to put the horses and you have to learn how to take care of the horses and feed the horses and nourish the horses. And what will the horses give you back? Well, let's say you want to ride horses for enjoyment. Then without those horses, you will never ride horses for enjoyment. But to do that, you have to invest a lot of time and a lot of energy into those horses. And it's a little bit like starting a website. So for instance, you have to protect them. I have that down in my handouts. You have to protect them from predators. Oh my word. There's so many things like that. So let me real quick glance at the chat because I had asked you guys. So hi, Sharon. I do know why you're here. She's a blogger and a podcaster. So Sophia and Isabel, I'm going to guess it's Isabel. She's a student. She probably wants, she wants a blog, a YouTube channel, a tiny business, and has no idea where to get started. But I love that you're dreaming. Natalie says she would like to have a cottage industry, working from home, earning money from home, like Proverbs 31. Amen. So yes, exactly. One time I had a business where I sold bread from my home. I had to get up really early in the morning, and then we would make the bread and then we would deliver it. And the only thing I didn't figure out was how much money I was actually earning from every loaf I sold. And I was actually going into debt with every single loaf of bread, but I loved it. I love baking, and it was so much fun. I couldn't figure out how to make money off of it. I've started so many businesses, and I don't know why one succeeds and one does not. The only answer I have for you is that the Father is sovereign and is working in your life. And that is my answer, and I'm sticking to it. But in the meantime, we can do a good job, right? So here are 4 pillars of a successful business. Okay. First of all, preparation. I couldn't make bread if I had never had a bread machine or a good mixer. I couldn't have done it if I hadn't bought pans, if I hadn't learned how to bake bread and had someone say that tastes good. So you have to prepare. In this, we're going to talk about, you have to select a market, you have to choose a theme, a topic, you have to determine how often are you going to deliver things to them. We'll probably not get too much more specific, but hold on and you'll see. So secondly, and these are all P's, you also have to have a presentation. You have to have a way to structure what you do. I'm a big believer that the things that we do should look good. And I am as human as the next. Even the handout I made today, I probably waited too long to get this done this week. It's not everything I wanted it to look like. But everything that we do, whatever our hand finds to do, we should do it with all our might. Is that not what Scripture says? We should try to do things with excellence. Don't just slap it together and expect people to pay $49.95 for it. No, do your best. Give over and above. Pour into it more than the world would. Go beyond excellence, because we are His people, and we want to have that reputation of doing things with the absolute best that we can do them. Not for pride's sake, but to give Him glory. So make sure that whatever you do in your presentation, that you are thoughtful, not in too much of a rush, that you can't make things look as amazing as you can. And really what that means, and we've talked about this a lot in speech class and writing this year, think about who your audience is. How can you meet their needs? Will it look good to them? One time I was making some curriculum and I made the font so small that there was no way anyone could read it. It looked nice, but you couldn't read it. So presentation is about the user and how they're experiencing a website. Can they find the things on the website? Do the things work? Have you tested it? So on. Rachel, all right, Natalie Harrison's daughter wants to start a tie-dye business with her sisters. Oh, that would be fun. And talents I don't have. My girls did tie-dyeing with their aunt once. I don't have too many crafting abilities, but that sounds cool. And it's going to be interesting. Let me maybe pick on you a little bit today, Rachel, at a tie-dye business. I might use you as an illustration. Okay, so the next pillar is production. You have to create something for your herd. You have to give them something. So if you were a horse rancher, you have to give them hay. Otherwise, why would they be in your stable? They're going to be hungry and they're going to be looking for hay. And if you don't give it to them, and it needs to taste good. So production is a pillar of a business. Okay, whether it is an information business or an actual physical thing, a brick and mortar store or an online business that sells something physical, like a tie-dye shirt, compared to, say, Sharon, who makes podcasts and blog posts and so on. That's not a physical thing that you can touch, but it's definitely a content that is something that helps improve someone's life. So, and then finally, we have promotion. So you can have the best cattle ranch in the world, horse ranch, sorry, I do that a lot. I switch to a new metaphor. You have the best horse ranch in the world, but if no one knows about it, they won't be helped by it. So promotion is not so much about making yourself look good. In the book of Proverbs, it says, let another man praise you and not your own lips. But they have to know you're there. If they don't know you're there, you can't help them. So sometimes my conscience struggles with all of this. Like, did I promote myself Or am I trying to help somebody, and the only way I can help them is to get what I do in front of them? And these are things you're going to have to wrestle with. Now, we can't cover everything in depth today, so we're just going to give you some really quick action steps to get you started. So 5 steps to getting started online. First of all, you need to decide upon your market and your topic. Now, what is a market? I'm going to read right off my handout here, but a market is a broad group of people with a specific interest that you could help. So again, in speech class, when you get up to give a speech to someone, what is the first thing you do? You look out at your audience and you find someone, you connect with them, you put your eyes on them and you get their eye contact and you think, how could I help this person? What is a need that this person has that I have the ability to help? So, and that's important. In the back of your handout, there are, goodness, half a dozen pages about how to choose a niche, how to choose something that you would be good at, that you could help somebody. So it's way beyond what we're going to have time to go into today, but I wanted to make sure you had it. So it's here in your handout, all kinds of ideas of how to know how to choose a niche that's just right for you. But basically the market is the people. Who are the people that have a need and how could you meet it? So and the topic is the subject that the market is passionate about or concerned about. So for instance, right now in the homeschooling world, people are concerned about safety in public schools because of all the school shootings. I think it's a little bit politically driven, but that's beside the point. Anyway, there are actual parents that have called and talked to me, and they really are concerned about the safety of their kids, but they've never homeschooled before. So I have a market. I can help these homeschooling parents. I can help them learn to homeschool in the first place. And they're very passionate about it because right now they care about safety and keeping their kids safe. So that is something that for the moment I can focus on and think, okay, what could I offer them to help them realize that home is a very safe place for their children to be? So there's so many things. Again, refer to your handout, and it would be really fun to have a long discussion about this and say, what are all of the things that you're good at? And maybe if we have time, we can come back to this. I wish, this is so important. I am going to just say a couple things about this. First of all, you need to find something that you really know well and that you're very much interested in. Don't try to make money on something that you only care a little bit about. For instance, Rachel, you're starting a tie-dye business. I mean, I won't ask you on the spot right now, but I'm curious, why are you interested in tie-dye? What brought you to that? What need can it fulfill? Why do you think that you can do it better than anybody else? Those are the kinds of questions you have to ask yourself if you're going to be able to earn income. Now, having said that, you can earn income and that income could go towards a bigger long-term goal. Maybe someday you'd like to have an entire clothing line. And this is your first step. And so you're thinking about that. So one of the things I have, and I highly recommend it, is a planner. So my planner is just something that I have a printer. So I made my own. So, but any planner will work. But in the front of it, I typed up, and maybe you can see it right here, a vision for homeschooling Torah. These were the things that I felt passionate about that a homeschooling company should do, because the Bible says this, then we should do that. And so, for instance, some of the things that I have on here is we want to produce curriculum and books that are easy for people to use every day. So I had to think to myself, is that something I even know how to do? Well, the Father blessed me with 7 children, and I do, I tried really hard to come up with the easiest way to get good scripture into those 7 kids as I possibly could. So yes, that is something I knew how to do, and so on. I have a lot of goals written down, and these are goals that not only just for homeschooling Torah, but for my entire life. These are things that I'm passionate about. For instance, I have Titus 2 and Proverbs 31 in there because I'm passionate about those things and I want to hit those goals. There are specific things in there that really speak to me and I want to hit them. So write it down and go for it. Make sure though that you're not trying to sell something that you're not passionate about, that you don't care about. I mean, you can do it for a short time. I was saying earlier that it's okay to work for someone else to learn skills, but a lot of the times when you're working for someone else, you're not passionate about that. And you're not going to succeed if your own business, unless it's something that you care so deeply about that you could lose sleep over it. That's the kind of care you need to have. you probably should also choose an area that people would actually, if you're going to go into business, that people would spend money for. You wouldn't want to sell something that they could get for 50 cents down the road, and then you try to sell it for $6. I mean, you might sell it to a couple of your friends and family who are being nice to you, but you're not going to succeed long term. And that's hard in our economy. That's super hard. Now, if you're going into ministry and you're not caring about the money, you also need to think about the fact that, do people have time to consume the content that you're giving? Do people care about the exact topic? Are you meeting a need that they have? And I'm not saying that we should tickle ears and only talk about things that please people. No, I think that we should actually tell people what the Bible says, be hard hitting in that. But as a wise person once said, offer them some dessert to come in and then give them their vegetables. Or you can use honey to attract bees and not vinegar. You can use the way in which you present something to attract people and then give them the tools they need to live their life in a godly way. So basically, I think one final thing would be to choose a niche that is filled with people that you are already attracted to, the kind of people that you want to hang around. Find, the 10 smartest people that you can think of that are really doing life well and in a way that pleases the Father, and then seek to hang around those people and make them your companions and friends and teachers. Don't go in there to show off your information. Go in there to learn from them and spend time with them online, even if it's just following them on social media and reading everything they have. That would be a great way to learn. And if you love those topics enough that you want to spend time with them all the time, it's a good sign that someday you may be a leader in that field as well. Okay, so deciding on a market and topic, we could go on and on forever. I'm hoping that you'll contact me later and we'll give you some ideas of ways we can talk more. Secondly, you do need to probably create a website or a YouTube channel. Now, it's kind of broad here. I'm saying websites and blogs and YouTube channels. It could be a shop on Etsy. It could be on Wix or Square. Could be on Shopify. I'm not really getting too technical about where you do it, whether it's YouTube or maybe it's a podcasting channel. It doesn't much matter where. Just kind of, when I say website, just kind of tuck in your thing. Okay. So if you're here for a YouTube channel, okay, she meant YouTube. This is the hitching post on your horse ranch. This is where all the horses come to hang out. And it's the place where they're going to listen to you. It's the place where you can offer opinions and talk about what the Bible says. And this is where you are going to give the very best hay to the horses that come. And if you don't have, and by the way, this is free. It doesn't cost someone to visit your website. You need to give your best to the people that visit you. Goodness, if this is just on social media and all you've done is create a page for your business or ministry, then give them the best content. Give them everything you can to feed them. Okay. So what are some ways that you can get a website going? And here I'm going to share my screen and show you some really practical websites. So I'm going to just show you the websites that I've used over the years when I was learning how to make websites, because that's the best way I can teach you. And one of my favorites is by a lady named Amy Lynn Andrews, and she has her own website, but she's kind of retiring. So she left before she retired officially. She left this one website, howto.com. It's so simple. Look, there's no pictures or anything. She just wanted you to get right to the meat of how to start a website. And I hope that you'll bookmark this website. Let me real quick actually give you a link to it in the chat as well. And you can see she has 5 steps. And I agree so much with these 5 steps. First, get a website. Second, start an email list, which we're going to talk about that in just a minute. 3, create content. 4, get followers. And if your goal is to make money, then that's where you would do that. Whatever your goal, your end goal is, that's the 5th step. So one thing I like about this website is that she gives you step-by-step how to do it. And it's really easy and it's quite inexpensive. So for instance, if you don't have a website and you'd like to know how, you click here and she just gives you step-by-step. She recommends that you actually do on your keyboard. If you're on your computer, you hit Control P at the same time, prints that page. And now you can have a checklist that you can go down through. Okay. And this is awesome. She has not forgotten anything. And the reason is because she's extremely experienced. She's been doing this for, 15, 20 years. And so she knows what to do. So a couple things. You're going to want to have a domain name. What are you going to call your business? What are you going to call your ministry? Even if you go on a YouTube and have a YouTube channel, you're going to need to name yourself something. If you don't know what to name yourself, I want to give you a piece of advice here. And first, I'm going to switch over to a new tab, and I'm going to show you where I did this too. I told you my first website was called Ann's Homey Place, which was really difficult to spell. AnnElliott.com is my name. Now, Ann Elliott is kind of a pain to spell too. There's like every possible letter that you can stick in there is stuck in there. And everyone, a lot of people just put one L or one T, and it's life. But if you're going to make a website from that, it needs to be something that people can spell. But it works. And this is my blog. And eventually all my other websites got put here. So I have stuff here that's been here for like 20 years. So this is my home online. And I've said this previously in our speech class and our writing class. I would very much recommend that you think about buying a domain that has your name in it. First of all, what if two people have your exact name? You should get your domain name before someone else does. And if someone already has, you're going to have to be more creative. But for my children, I want them to have their own domain names with their own, because it's just like a really cool gift to have your own site. And here's the other thing. Through life, as you get older, and I know if you're young, this is hard to imagine, but your interests change. Things just that interest you today might not interest you in 20 years from now. And yet you can reflect those changes on your website if it's your name. And so I don't care what you call your website, but maybe it would be a wise thing to think about maybe having one with your name. So that's one possibility. As you think through domain names, you're going to have to find out if it's available. And I'll show you in a second how to do that. But maybe ask your friends, if you were to go to this website and give them the name, like talk it out to them, and then watch them with their phone and try to type it in, see if they can actually type it, see if that works. Or do they go, how do you spell that? That's probably not a good domain name. So think about those kinds of things. Is it really long? Like I actually own a website called How to Get Your Housework Done. So you can go read a book.com, which I just kind of did it to be funny. And it's a very back burner project. And, I don't recommend doing that because no one can write that name out, How to Get Your Housework Done. In fact, one time I was talking to our hosting company and I was having some trouble on it. And they said, what is it called? So anyway, stick to something simple. That would be better. Something short, something without too much punctuation in it, like a bunch of hyphens or, it just makes it really hard remember, your horses are the reason that you're making this corral. If they can't spell it, then it's kind of worthless. So let's talk about getting a hosting company. By the way, let's talk about something for a second. Should you have your own website and your own domain? There are a lot of opinions on this. You could go to, have yourname.wix.com or yourname.wordpress.com. And here's my advice. Don't do that. Don't do that. Spend a teeny bit of money and get your own domain name. First of all, it makes you look like you're the real thing and not just playing around. Now, if you want to get a free site for a little bit and to play around on to learn how to do websites, sure. But when it's the actual thing that you want to make a ministry or business and invite guests to, I would not recommend it. There are so many reasons why it is not a good idea, but it doesn't have to cost you a lot. So here's one, and I do recommend going to Bluehost. If you do, Amy Lynn Andrews is going to get a little commission. I'm not getting any money from this, but having said that, she's a great person. So I wouldn't care if you gave her a little bit of money by clicking on it. But when we click on bluehost.com, let me show you this price. It starts at $2.75 a month. I think that's if you buy a whole year's worth, which I think came out to $30-some a year. So if you're a teenager, your question is probably, or phooey, if you're a housewife and you don't have an unlimited income, your question is going to be, where am I going to get the money to have my own website? Well, this is where don't start something until you've prayed about it. Remember when Yeshua says about building a tower, and they didn't have enough money to finish it. And everyone walking by says, oh, that's crazy. Don't rush into things. Think about the cost involved, the cost in money and the cost in your time, the cost to your family and the relationships around you. Put some thought into these things. Get advice from people in your life that know you, and see what others think of this. But $2.75 a month is really not too bad. So how can you earn $2.75 a month? Well, goodness, you could wash someone's car for them. You could pick up sticks. You could mow the lawn. There are so many ways you can earn money. Be creative. This is the beginning of being an entrepreneur. If you cannot earn that $2.75 a month, you're probably not an entrepreneur. But you could also do things like Google coupons for Bluehost.com, and maybe you could even get it cheaper. But honestly, be willing to invest just a little bit. It doesn't have to be a ton, and you don't have to go for all the bells and whistles, but I do hope that you will work hard and get a budget and figure out how to pay for it. I do not think that you should borrow for a website. I don't think you should put it on a credit card. I do not think that you should borrow it from a friend and say, I'll pay it back next week, because you do not know what tomorrow brings. And you don't know if you're any good at this. How do you know if it's going to succeed? I've tried a lot of businesses and almost all of them flopped. So I can promise you, you should not go into debt for something like this. You should pay cold hard cash, even if it's on a debit card. Okay. So, and finally, when you do start to make money, make sure that you are giving back to God what he has blessed you with, because he blessed you with the talents and abilities that you have. I just wanted to give you preaching for just a second. From Malachi chapter 3 in verse 9, it says, he's talking to Israel. He says, Israel, you are under a curse, the whole nation of you, because you are robbing me. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house. Test me in this, says Yehovah Elohim, and see if I will not throw open the floodgates of heaven and pour out so much blessing that you will not have room enough for it. And I will prevent pests from devouring your crops, and the vines in your field will not cast their fruit, says Yehovah Elohim, and all nations will call you blessed. Give back to him. Did you earn $3? Give him 30 cents. Give it to the poor. Give it to those who are taught you. Give it back. Say, thank you, Father, for giving me these talents and abilities. And I want to honor you and bless you for what you've done for me. And I guarantee you one thing, in accordance to his word, he will bless you. I'm not saying you will be prosperous, just like we were talking at the beginning, but I am saying that it all belongs to him, and you can honor him by always giving back some to him. So, can you afford to have your own website? You don't have to have a super expensive one, especially when at the beginning, when you don't need all the bells and whistles. And if we go back to Amy Lynn Andrews' website, she's going to tell you some things. If I scroll down this page, you can uncheck any package extras. You don't need some of these things. You just don't. Follow her advice. It's good, wise advice, and keep it on the simple, cheap side. But think about ways that you can fund this dream that he has given you. Okay. Then you're going to create a website. I'm not going to talk too much about it because there's so many variables. I know how to do WordPress websites, and even there are tens of thousands of themes that you could choose from. I tend to use Genesis themes, but I bought it because we were website designers. And my daughter, was talking to her yesterday, and she says, Mom, everything's free. And she's right. You don't have to spend a lot of money. What websites are nowadays, what we call WYSIWYG, which is a funny word. Let me write it in the chat so you can see how it's spelled. It's, I have to think how to spell it because it's not an actual word there. It stands for what you see is what you get. And I recommend that you get a website that is a WYSIWYG kind of website, or has an editor that you can drop and drag different blocks and text, so that what you see as you're creating the site is pretty close to what you're going to be presenting when you hit publish and it goes out to the world and they can come visit. It's just a lot easier to create a site when you can see exactly what it's going to look like. And I do use WordPress. I love WordPress. Amy Lynn Andrews here is telling you how to have a WordPress website. Other good ones that I have made for clients would be Wix, Wix.com. They're doing a fantastic job. About 9 years ago, I made a site on their platform and it was awful. And I went back a couple months ago to help a counseling company set up a website, and it was awesome. So I have to say, theirs is pretty good. It's not quite as cheap as the one that is here. I think WordPress might be about the cheapest way to go. Other good ones would be Squarespace and Shopify, and even setting up YouTube. Real quick, I'm going to give you a website for those of you who want to make a YouTube channel. Now, this man is not a believer, so I will not vouch for that he will never, ever have language or anything that I would disapprove of, but he is quite a good businessman. And he has a lot of good things, whether you're on YouTube or not. I really like his channel for different things. I go on here a lot to learn different things, even video editing. I've been on his website a lot lately for that. So Justin Brown is a good source for learning. And honestly, you could just Google how to do whatever it is you need to know. And there's just so many options, but he has some good stuff. So if you would like to start a YouTube channel, he can tell you how to set it up, how to make your first cover images, and how to make all of your, what are they called? What is it called on YouTube when you put up the picture? Thumbnails. Yes, you have to make thumbnails. And so let me show you some other things. Let me show you Canva. And Canva has two versions. And this you're seeing my account here, but Canva has a paid version and a free version, and you can get along with the free version for a long time. And I forgot to put the link in the chat. Let me do that real quick. And if, let's say that you need to start with the free version and you need to be able to find good images and so on, I go to unsplash.com. And Unsplash has free images that you can use, and then you can download them to your computer and upload them into Canva. And then later, if you are actually earning some money, you can upgrade to a paid account on Canva, and that opens up a world of possibilities and things that you can do. And it's not too expensive. I do highly recommend Canva. So just for all kinds of things. And as you can see, from making logos to posting on social media, on and on. It's a fantastic website, probably one of the most used sites that we use in our business every day. So as far as hosting companies, let me go back real quick. I wanted to talk about a Torah observant hosting company that helps make people's websites. This is not a free option. This would cost you some money, but they're great people. And it's called avivsites.com. And they have a lot of good tools on their website. And they're great people. So you want to go check them out. So you have, let me go back, 5 steps to getting started. First, you've decided on a market and a topic. You're now creating your website. You've got your domain name, you've got your hosting company, and you're starting to create all the pretty behind the scenes. Let's say you've got it and you want to launch. Now you need to capture emails. I want to show you real quick my friend Amy Gunther at TorahSisters.com. And I'm going to give you a link to this page on her website. This is her business page. And she's a personal friend of mine. She actually lives here in my town. And I do recommend that you get to know her and listen to her podcast. She has a YouTube channel that you go over there and listen to her YouTubes and just kind of copy some of the things, her ideas. She does all of the things. She has a shop. She gives away free things. She has a magazine. She has a blog, business resources. She connects people with other Torah people. I just cannot say enough good about it. But she gives here some favorite tools and resources. And she talks about a company called Flowdesk, which she uses for sending emails. Flowdesk is newer than I am. I'm old as the hills, so it wasn't around when I started. So I use one that's called Aweber. And let me real quick give you a link to Aweber. And there are some I don't recommend. And I'll tell you those in just a second. Aweber.com. Yeah, it's logging me in. All right. So Aweber, I like Aweber because so far, to this point in history, they have not been shutting people down for talking about biblical topics on their emails. And so other companies such as Amazon Web Services and MailChimp and some of those I don't necessarily recommend because they might censure, and I don't think that's right. So I don't want to give them my business. Flowdesk and Aweber are both so far doing fine on that department. So anyway, those are some things. MailChimp is free, so it's very tempting to go use them, but it makes me nervous because they have shut people down if they talk too much about the Bible. So just a word of caution there. So what else? Capturing emails. Why do we need to do this? Remember I said, if you have the very best product that you're, the hay that you're going to give your horses, but you don't have any horses, then you have all this hay and no one to give it to. And, Rachel was talking about making tie-dye shirts. If she has a collection of 30 different tie-dye shirts that she's worked her tail off to get done and they look amazing, but she has no one to sell them to, then all of that money and time is for nothing. And I think this is an easily forgotten step in starting a business. If you don't have anyone to sell it to, it's no good. If you've been in our writing class and you've been working on a novel this whole school year and you get it done and there's no one to read it, that is so disappointing. If you're selling widgets and there's no one that cares about widgets, then you've just wasted everything you've done with your life. So, and this is where everyone makes mistakes. We all think everyone's going to love my widget, and you make it and then you find out, no, they don't like it. Start over. It's kind of like my bread. I didn't have enough people to buy it to make it worth, the money. So, and the time. So as you're picking a market, you're probably going to mess up in this. You're going to have times that you make this amazing thing. Maybe you join some company so that you can sell an herb or an essential oil, and then find out that everybody's selling that herb and essential oil. So nobody cares about buying it from you. So back to why we talk about an email list. An email list is where the horses can join your corral. It's where they can say, I'm interested in what you have to say. And one of the things I like about Amy at Torah Sisters, look at this at the bottom of this page in huge letters: get Torah Sisters emails, sign up with your email address to receive new blog posts, videos, free stuff, community events, and so much more. And she actually really does that. She does a fantastic job at putting her best effort on her email list. Sometimes I forget this one. I put my best effort on my website and then expect everybody to come see it. I'm like, oh yeah, I got to tell them about that. I'll put a sale out and no one buys anything with my coupon. I'm like, oh, I forgot to tell people on my email list that there's a coupon, things like that. It seems so obvious, but it's really easy to forget this. And sometimes you feel like you're bothering people. You're not bothering them, because the actual people that are interested in what you have to say want to get an email. They're busy and life happens and they forget about you, but it's not because they don't care. They are interested. So there are people in the world that never open their emails, and that is a percentage of people. And there are other things you can do, such as social media, to get in front of them. But social media, as you all know, can shut you down if they disagree with you. I saw today Discord, which is a social media platform, shut down Michael Rood and the Rood Awakening's Hebrew Roots group today. They had thousands of people on there, and I don't know what they did to violate community guidelines, but they're done. I'm sure they're working very hard to get it back up. You don't want that to happen. You don't want that to happen to your business. Your email list needs to be with a company that will not do that. And even if you trust them, like I trust Aweber, but I also once a month go in and download all those email addresses. So if something were to ever happen, I could still get a hold of my people. So, and why do we need to buy and use an email list? Well, if you try sending emails from your personal email account, you will be marked as spam and you'll never be able to send emails again. So I do not recommend doing that. It's very much not recommended to try to send them out from your email address, because it looks like you're spamming people, and that's not good. So this is just one of those things that you're going to have to, do a bake sale and raise a little money for, is to be able to pay for an email list, because it's super important. Once upon a time, I would have told you to use Google FeedBurner, but it's owned by Google. And not only did they shut down FeedBurner, and everyone that had their list on there, it was free. That's why I would have recommended it. They all lost their emails. And second of all, Gmail or Google, as you know, will not let everyone just talk about what they believe is right to talk about. So it's really important. You need to be able to have a way to contact people, and you need to make sure you download those emails and keep them safe. Okay. They're the most important thing. Your customers and knowing them is the most important part of your business. The next step is similar, and that's promoting your site. And this is the stuff that you do every day. So I told you I have a planner, and in my planner at the top of every single day, I have these 5 letters, EMCSF, and they stand for different parts of my business that I have to do every day. One, I have to check my emails and answer customers. M is marketing. And I won't tell you what all the other letters are. I just have to do them every day. So I just made this big acrostic and check through them. And that's part of my morning routine. But marketing has to be done every single day, or at least on a routine. It needs to be dependably consistent. And you need, so as you're budgeting money to start a website, you also need to start thinking about budgeting your time. Do you have time to promote the things that you're making? So you can make tie-dye shirts, but that is only one small piece of having a business. And the part of the business that a lot of people don't care for as much is having to constantly market. And I don't even like that word market, but because it sounds like sales and advertising and being pushy and selling, like getting in people's faces and being annoying. But the word market is a very old word. If you think about the Proverbs 31 woman, she had a market in her village where she took the things that she sold in her vineyard. And it wasn't just being out in the vineyard and growing the grapes and making the wine and all of the things that she was doing, but it also meant that she had to get one of her daughters, or she herself had to set up a little booth in the market. And as people went by, she had to offer them a sample, and she had to be in people's lives and out there where the people are buying. And this is the uncomfortable part for some people. It definitely is for me, which is why I just have to make myself a to-do list, and I just have to do it. And one of the ways that I like to market is I wake up, and as I'm thinking about the things that I'm going to be talking about to my market over the next few days, I'm thinking, what do they need? So for instance, we've just celebrated Shavuot. Some are celebrating this coming Sunday. And if you are celebrating the feast, what do people need to celebrate Shavuot? So that was something that I was thinking about. Or it's hot outside. So yesterday we posted a thing on summertime activities for kids and they're bored. These are some fun things that they can do on a hot summer day. So like play in the water and blow bubbles and stuff like that. So constantly, instead of thinking of it as I have to get out there and like shout at everybody to come over here and buy, you can think of, what do I have that I could help someone with? So for those of you that have been in speech class, this is a constant theme. How do I help someone every day? What can I do to help someone? This is why I was put on earth. This is a lot more fun than marketing, in my opinion. All right. And lastly, 5 steps to getting started online. You think of something to sell. And I'm talking about a business here. If you are having a YouTube channel, this is where you make the YouTubes. If you are going to be a blogger, this is where you make the blog posts. If this is where you want to be a book writer, this is where you make the books. If you want to make tie-dye shirts, this is where you do that. So that's kind of obvious. There is so much more information in the handout, so I'm not going to go into absolutely everything, but really quick, let me give you the big picture. There are 7 steps, and we've kind of mentioned all of these already. Number 1, determine what kind of herd you're going after. We're talking about a horse ranch here, okay? What kind of horses are you going after? 2, build the corral to feed your herd. And this is where you capture their name and email address so that they can come back and come back. 3, listen to your herd. Pay attention to what they're saying. Go to the watering holes where they're getting their water, where they hang out, and listen to them. Find out what their problems are. Don't necessarily offer a solution at every moment, but just be a good listener and find out what are their needs. Father, take it to prayer and say, Father, how can I help this person? Do I have any of those skills? And if he says yes, go with it. Number 4, build your herd by attracting them from the watering holes over to your website. And then find other herd owners and become friends with them and help each other get to each other's watering holes and herds and corrals. And, 5, feed your herd with amazing content. Give them stuff that will actually feed them. It's so annoying to go to a clickbait site where the only reason you got there was so that they could earn money from your click and you got nothing. Don't be like that. Give over and above to the people that you are serving. Number 6, protect your herd from predators. Warn them about scams. Don't give them an inferior product. If you make a t-shirt and it's not quite up to snuff, then be willing to lose a little bit of money rather than sell it and hurt somebody. Protect them. And then finally, you can profit from your herd if that was the goal as to why you're going into your business. Okay. As I mentioned, there is a lot more inside the handout, information on finding your niche, a list of weekly activities that you could be doing every single week. Again, I do recommend that you get some kind of a planner and start thinking about, okay, if I have to market every day, what time of day could I do that? Okay, 10 o'clock, that works. All right, if I have to write a blog post every day or every week, when am I going to do that? Okay, Thursday mornings. I'm always going to set that aside. If someone says, let's go shopping, I'm going to say, I'm sorry, I have an appointment already. And it's my appointment to make a blog post. Okay, and so on. So make sure that you not only know what has to be done, but you put it on your calendar or it will not happen. Okay. I want to real quick recommend 1 or 2 other things. I'm going to open up my screen. I guess I've had it open. Let's see, on Amazon, there is a good book. And no, I don't agree with absolutely every word in the book, but the guy is either Torah observant or close to it. I don't know him personally. Josh Tolley, EvangelPreneur. It's a really good book, especially for teenagers and young adults to be thinking about what does the Bible say about money and owning your own business. Again, I agree with about 90% of it, and it really is good for food for thought. And let's see. I just saw in the chat that Sophia or Isabel, someone said, what is a widget? Okay, a widget is a silly word that people use a lot online for just anything you can make. So they'll say you have a widget factory, and in your widget factory, you make widgets. It's a pretend thing. So, but you'll see it a lot if you go on WordPress, which let me show you. Let me go to annelliott.com and show you what the back end of my WordPress looks like so you can see what it looks like when I make a website. I sign in and this is my website, and it doesn't look anything like what I can make. These are where I can write posts. So I have all kinds of them in here, and I have a media library where I can upload things. These are all the pictures. A lot of them we make in Canva. Pages are things. So what's the difference between a post and a page? A post is like your daily journal or blog. It's like a diary or where you just put all your recent content, but a page is a page that just never changes. So for instance, this is a terrible example because this is not showing you this, but I have my contact page and my about me page. They just don't really change too much. And it does, other than that, they're kind of the same thing. And it's not really that important that you get it just right. And they have comments, all the places where I can work on the appearance of my website, and you can customize it and make it pretty. And do you see this word, widgets? See, it's a thing. A widget is where you make stuff, and widgets are like it's just a fake word. I don't even know what the dictionary says about widgets, but widgets are just the thing that you make. So widgets for me would be books, I guess, and widgets for Rachel would be tie-dye shirts and so on. And anyway, there's a lot more. And you know what the best way to learn how to make a website is? This is really, really, really profound. So hang on. Best way is to just click on the button and see what it does, and then play with it for a second. That is my wise advice. That's how I've been learning for all these years. Just click on it and say, oh, that's what that does. Or, oh, that's not cool. Every website nowadays has an undo button. So you're good. All right. You really can't break something too bad. I promise you. But so try it. Try and see what happens if I click that button. You know, it's not going to bite you. I promise. Okay. It's pretty fun. Anyway. So I was going to show you about the EvangelPreneur book. I also wanted to mention there's so much information here that we talked about. Obviously, we didn't even hardly touch it, did we? There's so much. I thought about this week. I'm like, maybe we could start a club, or maybe I will in the future, maybe we'll start a high school club just for entrepreneurs that want to start their own business. My worry is that I've got too many things going, and I'm afraid if I start one more thing, I'm not going to be able to do a good job and finish it. And so I've been praying about it and thinking about it. I was in the car driving and I'm like, Father, I don't know what to do. There are people that want to start a business and they need more information than this. And maybe I could do it, but I don't know if I have time. Back to Amy at Torah Sisters. She's got stuff here, but she's busy too. I don't know how far she'll get into it. And really what we need is just a place where everybody could help each other. And when I'm really busy writing curriculum or this or that, someone else that has time that week can come in. And when they're really busy, I can come in and help. So I went looking for something like that. I'm not a big Facebook fan myself, so I didn't want to look on Facebook. And I didn't really want to look on any of those main ones because I don't like those kind of social media sites. So I went to the Torah Network, and the Torah Network is pretty small. I think we should all support them. And I started a group today. You can see that there is a whopping one member, and that's me. And it's called Business Support. I'm going to put a link in the chat. And if you would like to join this group, I actually have a brainstormed list of about 50 topics that we could talk about, like 50 hours of things that we could surely talk about. And so I think, and I know there are weeks I will not have time to do this. So maybe this will take 2 years or something, but we could just go through all of those topics. Like one week, just talk about how to choose a domain name, and another week, how to choose a theme, and how do you make a logo, and how did you upload, how did you get your YouTube channel started, and what do you do with nasty comments, and just on and on. We could never, ever stop talking about these kinds of things. So this group is here. Honestly, there are already amazing groups on other social media. So you don't have to just do this one, but I'll talk to anybody who wants to come. I need to make a pretty cover for this. I'm going to go to Canva and do that soon. How do you edit videos? Exactly, Isabel. Go to that YouTube channel, that Justin Brown one that I was talking about, and definitely you'll find all kinds of answers for that. But yeah, we should all talk about it. How do we do it? How do we put on conferences? How do we send out email lists and set them up? Oh my word, it's not that easy. How do you make a freebie for people? How do you do a coupon? How do you set up a shopping cart? How do you take payments? How do you get the money from the payment company into your, how do you pay taxes? That one takes a bit of time. Anyway, that's my idea for how to all of us get together and get ideas. I don't know if any of you are on the Torah Network, but I do think they're great people. If not, I do recommend, let's say you're on Facebook and not the Torah Network, I recommend you go find Amy at torahsisters.com. And go to her Facebook page and ask her for advice. I did call her this afternoon and tell her that we were going to have this class. So she has a little bit of a heads up that she is very, very skilled in business, and you could ask her too. Maybe we can convince her to join our Torah Network group, right? So anyone have any questions before we wrap up? I think that was everything that I had. And again, I could talk forever. I love this stuff. Anything at all, and if not, it is okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to edit this video, Isabel. I use software that's called Camtasia. I bought it in 2015. If I were going to do it today, I would probably use either Canva, or I would use some software called DaVinci, DaVinci.com. And I know Justin Brown has some, DaVinci Resolve. It's free. That's why I would use it. And it's pretty powerful. But I'm going to use my Camtasia software. I'm going to edit this video. Then I'm going to upload it to YouTube. I'm going to make a thumbnail for it. And then I have a notepad open this whole time as I've been pasting links into your chat. I've been saving them in a notepad. And so I'm going to put them underneath the YouTube video in the description. I have lots of templates that I make. So if I make a YouTube video, I don't have to think all over again. All right, what do I say in the description? I actually have a template, and I just copy paste it and change the stuff for today, so that just anything you can do to cut down that daily annoying, boring work is good. So, and then you can do the things that you enjoy. There are a lot of annoying, boring things when you own your own business. So templates and patterns are awesome. If you ever have to talk to customers and you find that 2 or 3 people have asked you the same question, then you should copy paste your response into a notepad somewhere and save it, so that the next time someone asks you that question, you'll have it ready to go. And that saves you hours of time. favorite verses that you really love, that really speak to you, you should put them down somewhere in a list, because those are probably the things that you're going to blog about. And someday when you have nothing to think of to say, you're going to go back to that list and go, oh, I could talk about that. I love that topic. So anyway, any questions? I'm sorry, I keep talking. Anything at all? Goodness, I even have a YouTube channel. Okay, I save all these ideas and things that I go on YouTube a lot for advice, especially on these how-tos. And I save them all in a private list because I have a public YouTube channel and I don't want everyone to see all my private lists. But as far as I have like a list for how to look at the camera when you're talking on YouTube, which is hard, how to put makeup on, which I didn't bother to do today. I apologize, but I didn't do that today. But just like all of this stuff that how do you get lighting? Where do you get a microphone? Where do you, again, don't go into debt. You could easily go into debt for a business. I promise you, it's very tempting. All of the things you could buy to have a most amazing business ever. Don't do it unless you have cash, okay? I'm trying to think if there's anything else, but yeah, I think those would be fun things to share in a group, and then we could all learn from each other. And honestly, I think I've got the best ideas in the world. And then I'll go talk to Amy Gunther at Torah Sisters, and I'll be like, wow, that's a fantastic idea. How did you think of it? She said, I saw it on YouTube. I'm like, I was on YouTube and I didn't see that. So this is why we need to learn from each other and help each other out. And someday, remember, the Torah people in his kingdom are going to rule the world. So do a good job, do an excellent job. The master is watching you. Do everything to the best of your ability. So guys, I want to hear your ideas. I want to hear what you're doing. I love this stuff. So please come and share it, whether it's on any of those networks or you just want to shoot me an email. I'm good with that too. So, all right, shalom, students that have been with me all year, make sure that you keep in touch. I just don't want to lose track of you. I've really loved getting to know you this year and doing all of our classes together. If you are here and you didn't even know we have classes at Homeschooling Torah, our high school students do have clubs. We love it. It's fun. We get to know each other. We get to do speech and literature and writing and all those subjects that just kind of are better with a group, and we can make lifelong friends. So I hope that you'll check out homeschoolingtorah.com and just give us ideas that we could do with high school students. And you guys that have been in the group all year, I'd like your feedback, things that we could do better. I'm all ears. So shalom, everybody, and have a wonderful afternoon. I hope your brain is going 100 miles an hour and you burn dinner because you're too busy thinking about the business you're going to start. That's a good sign. So I do it all the time. I'm on dinner tonight. I probably burn it tonight. So it's just fun. And I just hope that you'll be passionate about it. Read and study and do your very best. So shalom and have a great night. Goodbye.